Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you guys are doing great out there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. And hit that like button, comment. We'll have some fun here, people. My Heat had exit media day today, so we'll get to that. Talked a little bit about some Heat stuff as well on the Tobin and Leroy show over the last couple of days. So if you guys want to hear some banter on that, plenty of Heat content for you on the 560 YouTube page. I know there's a lot of shows there. There's also a playlist there. But check out my boys, Hawk and Crowder, as well. Sports Day, shout out. But if you guys just want our content, there's a playlist there which has the Tobin and Leroy show. And you guys can also subscribe on every podcast platform for there, whether you got the Odyssey app, AUDACY, free in your app store. You use Apple, Spotify, whatever. You guys look up Tobin and Leroy. Tons of content there for you every single weekday. And then on the Odyssey app, you can listen to us live if you are driving around. If you are not in South Florida and not listening on your radio, then you guys could get plenty of South Florida sports talk that way. So check us on out. So what was going on today? Today was Exit Media Day. I want to clarify one thing. I got another video that I did based on the title. I'm sure you guys will see it on the page, but did one on all the Tyler Hero contract stuff and his thoughts on the Jimmy quote that he wanted to shoot down today. So you guys can check that out in there. I'm going to talk about mostly the interesting stuff from Bam Adebayo, specifically some breadcrumbs that he's been dropping over the last couple of days about the off season. So we'll get to that. But I do want to point out, because I saw this on Twitter a lot of misinformation from people who were like, where's the Godfather? Why is he not speaking on Exit Day? Just for clarification, guys, Exit Media Day, it's always a day where Spo talks and the players can talk voluntarily. Because they're Exit Media Day, they're not just Exit Media Daying with the media, they're talking to Pat Riley and getting their exit interview with him and talking about their offseason with him and with Spo. So that is Pat Riley never speaks on Exit Media Day. He will speak. I don't know when. They will. They'll let us know when that's going to happen. They'll send out the bat signal for that, but I don't know when that's going to be. As I record right now, a little after 7:00. But people are like, I can't believe Riley didn't speak today. He never speaks today. Today is a day for Spo. Today is a day for the players if they want to. No Duncan Robinson today, no Terry Rozier, no Andrew Wiggins. But Bam Adebayo, he spoke today unsurprisingly to the media. The captain always addresses things. And, he talked about the Jimmy stuff. He talked about the Khalil. He talked about Khalil. He had some interesting stuff on Khalil Ware, which I'm actually going to do for a Khalil Ware video coming up, because I thought his comments on Khalil very interesting. Very interesting. So we'll get to that. But I want to talk about his comments on the offseason, because he had a couple of interesting quotes over the last 48 hours. The first one was from Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat, had asked him about the changes that need to happen. Excellent question from Wes about the Heat, their standard, and what do they need to change to get back here. Because Bam Adebayo, very prideful man. This man has, in a lot of ways, been christened by not only the organization, but he's been christened by Heat legends. But a lot of those legends, Zoe, UD, D Wade, they all got jewelry. And Bam does not. And I'm sure they remind him about it all the time. Ergo, I'm sure that he wants to get back to winning ways. This is a man who has, been in finals, Eastern Conference Finals. Finals got hurt. Had one of the greatest blocks you'll ever see in an Eastern Conference Finals. Has had great success against the Bucks, the Celtics. So I am curious. And the other thing that's interesting with Bam, that's a little bit of an added element to this, is not just that he's been very far along with Jimmy's kind of the forgotten man. Oh, Jimmy carried, Jimmy did this. Like, Bam did nothing on all these runs. Like, Bam was just riding like a passenger princess the entire time. He did nothing on all of these runs. He wasn't important. He was a non-factor. He didn't stop or go up against any of the best bigs in the league. He didn't do anything to defend anybody. He was just completely there doing nothing for the Heat. That's how everybody's acted. So Bam was asked by Wes about the changes that are needed. Here was what Bam Adebayo had to say to that, because this is what was said a couple of days ago after Game 4, and they got their asses kicked and swept.
Bam, 2 straight years of losing in the first round, and obviously you guys hold yourselves to a higher standard than that. What do you think needs to change?
What needs to change? I don't know. It's going to be a lot of changes this summer. Just from my point of view, understanding how, the guy with the silver hair works. So just be prepared for that. And, for me, man, it's understanding got to figure out how to win a game in the playoffs. You understand how hard it is when you actually get into these trenches. So you take that and you figure it out.
All right, there you go. So that was Bam on that. And yeah, very interesting that he goes about that and is saying, like, I think there's going to be a lot of changes, based on how old Pat Riley works. And I thought it was interesting to put it all out there like that. And I think that the other element to Bam that has to be interesting, right, is for his Heat career, it's as much as people give Jimmy Butler his flowers and love Jimmy Butler, a lot of the natural players that we have surmised would make sense with the Miami Heat or thought that the Miami Heat should go after, a lot of them, the reason that we thought it made a lot of sense was because of Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is really loved around the basketball circles. People like him. They like the way he goes about his business. They like the way that he plays. He's also an easy guy to play with because, yes, he's not a go-to scorer. He's not a guy that takes up a lot of usage, but he defends his ass off. He will facilitate, and then can be a good co-star to whatever A star there is. Obviously, this was not a very impressive playoffs for him either. I do think that there was a lot of things that went there, but no excuses for that. Like, he was not good enough, flat out. And I think that had to piss him off a little bit, especially because this was a playoffs where he went up against Donovan Mitchell. And don't think we forgot that when Bam saw Spida get traded to Cleveland, when there was the whole summer, it was the summer of Durant, I believe, going to Phoenix when he was demanding trades. And I was like, I thought Spida was going to be the move for the Heat. I really did. I was like, that's the one that makes all the sense in the world. Too much sense almost. And there were even some social media likes from Bam afterwards that hinted at a little bit of frustration that the Heat couldn't pull the trigger on that they wouldn't go all the way in for his very close friend Donovan Mitchell. Then we, of course, know about the summer of Dame. I don't feel like I got to rehash it all, but as much as Damian Lillard wanted to play with Jimmy Butler, the guy he was very close to, he was going on podcasts and going, wink. I remember going to Bam Adebayo's basketball camp and asking him about this whole Damian Lillard scenario. And I think he very much also thought that was going to go on. Now, Jimmy came out with the whole, I tampering the Bucks, but make no mistake about it, that Bam was the big link there. And that didn't happen. And we even had the De'Aaron Fox thing, which really was never a thing, but was always kind of like, he was a groomsman at De'Aaron Fox, sees De'Aaron Fox go to another team. So I say all of that to wonder about when Bam is out here. So I say all of that to just say Bam has got to be thinking to himself a little bit, how did I get here? How did we get to the point where I'm sitting here, I was going to Eastern Conference Finals on the regular, the finals on the regular. Yes, Jimmy's gone. We were supposed to get Damian Lillard. It was all foiled. Jimmy gets hurt in the play-in last year. Now he's not here. I love Tyler Hero. That's my fellow Kentucky Wildcat. Would love to probably win with him, but also we need to get another piece. We need to get more. It's very clear. And the Heat have not taken advantage of Bam Adebayo's relationships. As Dwayne Wade said, relationships are important, people. There's a reason why the Big Three became a thing. There's a reason why Jimmy Butler ended up coming to the Miami Heat, because it ties to, you guessed it, D. Wade. And the Miami Heat have yet to tap into the relationships that Bam Adebayo has around this league, and it is a damn shame. So I say all that to bring you back to today, where at the exit interview, he was asked today by James Jackson from The Athletic about his comments the other day, and Bam answered a question with a question that was very, very intriguing.
Bam, you mentioned the other day that you'd expect the team to make some changes and such over the summer, given how the guy with the silver hair operates, as you said. For you as the on-court leader and the team captain and the emotional leader, what gaps would you want to see adjusted or tweaked in order for you guys to restore contention status?
At the end of the day, I want to win. So I can't really go in the logistics of the tweaks and everything. I feel like that's more of a Pat Riley question. And I hope you can ask that question to him and he doesn't blow you off and ignore you. But, for me, he knows my mentality. He knows I want to win. We want to be in the best way possible to do that. So, after he talks to you, he'll probably talk to me, and we figure out what happens.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, does that mean that maybe he's got an idea what's out there? I don't know. Like I said, there's this whole Giannis Antetokounmpo thing that is leaking and lingering out there. And I do agree that, does Giannis come to the Miami Heat? Does the Heat look like an attractive situation right now? Great city. You get to play with an all-star like Bam, who I think Giannis does respect. I think if you would ask Giannis Antetokounmpo what player has actually given him any problems over the years as far as defense is concerned, he probably would say Bam. And then there's the agent tie there as well. And I think I mentioned this today on the radio about knowing things. And one of the things that's interesting in the NBA is when a guy ends up somewhere, usually they already know. They already know that there's a chance that it could happen. So, I'm not saying Bam knows it's Giannis, but Bam's gonna know immediately if the Heat actually have a shot at Giannis, because him and Giannis are represented by the same person. So he's going to know. And the Heat knew with Damian Lillard. They probably, one of their missteps, honestly, was maybe knowing too much with Damian Lillard, because it felt like the agent ended up, well, it didn't feel like it, ended up the agent pushed a little too hard publicly. And Joe Cronin basically said, pressure be damned. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to make a spite move. And it ended up working out for him because he sunk the Miami Heat and got revenge on Damian Lillard. When Jimmy ended up coming here, the Heat knew that thing was in the bag, baby. They knew. I know people get mad about this tampering thing, but this is the facts of it. When the Big Three came together, not only did they know from D. Wade, CAA, they were all under the same roof. So I think when Bam is hinting that, I think it's a couple of things. I think, one, they've learned from the Damian Lillard thing. They're going to play their cards a little bit closer to the vest here. They are not going to put anything out there that's going to make anything linger. I think I don't think the Heat want to be on any public lists after the way the Damian Lillard thing blew up in their face. Because I think the Heat thought that was a layup. Of course they were going to end up. A guy always ends up where he wants to go up. If the Heat ended with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't want to make this a Heat Giannis thing, but that's just the sexy name out there right now, just because I understand all the people who are writing off the Heat would put the Heat there. on its face, you wouldn't. Just what happened to both teams, they're at the same place. But if you're just talking, hey, I want to go to a cooler city, if I'm Giannis, I want to go to an organization like that. They do have a little bit cleaner slate. I want to play with this guy in particular. They're going to know. They're going to have an inkling on that, and they're going to have a little bit of an inside game on it. I don't know if that's and I don't think that they're going to even want it out there that they're one of the desired destinations, because that never works out for them anymore. That's never a thing that goes in the positive way. In fact, I think if it's the opposite, where it's gone, people always throw Miami out there, and it's honestly pissing off the fan base, and maybe it ups offers for other places. So I think the Heat want to work in the shadows as much as possible, if there is that element that they're going. Again, I don't really know. I mean, the Heat could be fully looking at this and be like, we have no shot at Giannis. We have no shot at KD. We don't want to risk Zion. We don't want to risk Ja. We don't believe in Trae Young. We think we should take a step back, clear the decks, see what draft pick we get next year, have Terry and Duncan come off the books, have Wiggins as an expiring, and we're going to go into this with, figure out the Tyler extension that summer, and maybe Anthony Edwards wants to come here, maybe Luka wants to come here, Goran's in the front office, and that's the route they go. I'm not here to tell you the Heat. I'm not going to bill you falsities or things I don't. I'm just reading into what he's saying as to why he's kind of like wink secretive about it. And, there's the other side of it, is he just poking at Riley like, hey, yeah, what are you going to do? Because, dude, I've put some guys here on a silver platter, and you've struck out and done nothing with it. There could be that, too. And I don't think Bam's in a place where he's going to demand off the Heat. I'm sure that you'd come to a level where that would honestly run its course and he could get to that frustrated level, but I don't think he's there yet. As the captain of the team, as the guy who has all that lineage behind him, how much he loves it down here, I don't think that's where he's at, or even close to where he's at. But that's how I read that answer. I was like, I thought that was, I don't think that sounded like somebody who doesn't have any idea over the last couple of days where the Heat's going, because they typically, when they do have something lingering, they know, and it sounds like a guy who has as good relationships as Bam does. He knows. But I don't think he wants it out there. I think the Heat want to work in the shadows as much as possible. I think after I think after all the failed Orca hunts, I think after all the Jimmy dirt out there, this is a Heat franchise that wants to be a freaking lockbox with all of the stuff out there. They don't want to hope. They don't want it. They want to come out of here and just be like, surprise! This is our move. To me, that is the captain following lockstep with everybody. Hey, we got a plan, but we can't have anything out there. So that's how I read that. It was interesting, though. It was definitely interesting to hear that way from Bam.